Hello everyone, this is Noir Tapes, back with another plugin review. Today I'm doing Degrader. You might have seen it in the RC20 review. If you watched till the end when I did the pricing comparisons, I talked about Degrader and how it's much cheaper than RC20 and does a lot of the similar things. So I'm going to cover it today, because why not? So let's get started. So this is Degrader. This is what it looks like. Very simple, stripped down, not too much going on, but it does what you want it to do, and that's all you can ask from it. It's a perfect plugin for emulating old systems, and I use it relatively routinely. My only issue I have with the plugin is I use a lot of the presets, and there's a noise that continues after you stop audio. It like fizzles out and sounds like an old machine shutting down. I like that it's aesthetic, but it's kind of annoying, to be honest. I wish you could turn it on and off. You possibly can with the power button, I'm not sure. I've never actually tried it. Anyways, we'll break down the plugin right now. We'll go from the top to the bottom, going left to right, as I normally do. Alright, so we got the plugin name up here. That's Degrader. The company that made Degrader is called Clevgrand. Next to it, we've got the preset bar. If you click on it, you can look through all the presets. You got your general, your emulation, distortion, and extreme. I don't use distortion or extreme very often because they are pretty crazy. In general, I like to use Fattener. Sounds really good, I think. Blast from the past is okay. Sometimes even putting it on default adds a little bit of flair, and then you could customize it yourself. And under emulation, I like to use the two sampler options here. Sometimes the SNES, but it's whatever. It's all personal preference. Over here, we got the output level. When you have audio playing through, if I mute this track, you can see the level of the audio there, and you can see if it's clipping, it will reach the end and turn red. If we go down here, we got the pre-filter and the post-filter. The pre-filter allows you to add filtering to input audio before the plugin takes effect on it. You can set it to off, you can set it to a low Q and a high Q. Basically, this is how sharp the filter is. I'll show some examples later when I use it. The post filter has the same shaping options. The only difference is the pre-filter takes effect before the audio is run through the plugin. The post filter takes effect on the audio after it's run through the plugin. Here we've got the waveform. It shows bit depth and saturation. When you turn up those individual knobs, you'll see the waveform change. I'll show you an example. So if I just start playing the audio here, and I turn up the saturation, you can see the waveform start to change. The bit depth you can see as well. When I crank it down real low, it starts to get pixelated, and it will sound pixely too. Very 8-bit. I won't go to the mastering section yet. I'll actually just continue on this section, and then I'll go over to the master. So we've got the jitter knob. This is similar to how you had wow and flutter in RC20. Flutter is very similar to jitter. So jitter is slight pitch variations very quickly. These link symbols between each one allow you to link. If I turn on all the links, you'll see as I adjust this knob, they all change. And you can control how many are linking at once. You can see here, because I've only linked the first one to the second one, if I change the third one, it doesn't move the first one. But if I change the second one, it adjusts the jitter. Next we got the sample rate. The sample rate and the bit depth both tie into emulation of old systems. The sample rate knob allows you to adjust the sample rate of the audio. Old systems had lower sample rates due to technological limitations, so this allows you to emulate old machines by matching your sample rate of your incoming audio to the sample rate that was being outputted by these old machines. And the bit depth is pretty much the same. The only difference is it adjusts the bit rate instead of the sample rate. If you ever played video games in like the 90s and the 80s, you had 8-bit audio. 8-bit is an 8-bit rate. If I turn this down to 8-bit, it doesn't change the waveform too much, but the sound would sound very old school. Next we got the saturation. This is just a form of distortion. It allows you to add high end to your sound. And then on this side we got the master section. So you got input gain, you can control the level, the decibel level of the incoming audio. The output gain knob allows you to control the volume outputted from the plugin. This is useful for gain staging in the mixing process. If you need to match the output level to the input level, that's what you use that for. This mix knob is a dry and wet knob. It allows you to blend the effects of the plugin to the original audio. useful for drums, which I'll show you soon. The power button here is like a bypass button, except it doesn't actually bypass the whole plugin. All it bypasses is the popping and the clicking sounds that the plugin makes. So if you don't want the popping and clicking and you want your audio to sound a bit cleaner, you can turn off the power button and it will get rid of that popping and clicking. And there we go. That's a pretty easy plugin to navigate and get around. So I've covered everything in the plugin. I'm going to show you some examples now. I've got some chords here and I've got a drum loop. I'm going to show you what I would use it for and maybe show you some of the presets too. So here are the chords. They already sound very lo-fi. The kit I got these from, very lo-fi. The difference is here, I picked these in particular because they also were very clean. They came from a Rhodes. There's no vinyl noise, doesn't sound very dirty. So we're going to dirty it up and make it extra lo-fi with the degrader here. So I would use the pre-filter just to get rid of some of the high end. Maybe here, just a light amount, nothing crazy. I'd leave the post filter off. Leave the post filter off for the minute. We might come back and put it on at the end, we'll see. Let's adjust the jitter. Just a little bit. We'll make the sample rate low. .22 is a pretty good sample rate. Oh, actually, we'll leave it at 28 for the minute. Bring the bit depths down, maybe 12 or 16. Maybe we'll do 16. I'll just overemphasize it for the minute so you hear it. So we'll leave it at 16 here. I'll overemphasize the saturation a bit so you can hear that too. So just a little bit. And then this is where the post filter comes in handy because we can get rid of that stinging sound and almost emulate a process called anti-aliasing. Now I'll turn down the dry and wet knob, make it a bit drier, so that hissing sound can be deterred a little bit. You can also come through. This plugin is just used to make things sound old, right? So it sounds like an old sample from a VHS or a cassette that's really degraded, and it sounds kind of like crappy, you could say. And that's the whole aesthetic, right? You could use an EQ after this plugin to remove some of that high end and treat the audio like a sample. So this is particularly powerful for MIDI instruments, such as a piano or something. If you make a piano loop, you can add Degrader onto the piano loop, and it will take that clean sounding piano that's really digital and turn it into this degraded, gross sounding piano. And then you can use that and flip it like a sample. But I'm not going to use an EQ in this demonstration, so I'm just going to bring down the dry and wet knob to get rid of some of that harshness. Drop the bit depth down to 8. And there we go. So I'll show you before and after. So before. And then after. Very subtle difference, but when you're making beats, all these subtle differences are key because they shape the aesthetic and they'll add up in the end result. So I'll show you a preset I would use for this, for a chord as well, for a melodic component. If I click on presets here, I'll run through a few. You can use Fattener. Adds that real grittiness to it. Blast from the Past is pretty good. Sort of sounds like one of those old movies, like one of those movies from like maybe 1996 or something, you know, mid 2000s maybe, you know, that haven't been kept really well and they're on a VHS or something. They sound really shit. And then under emulation, you can use either of these. I like the 80s one better though. Gets that really nice ring modulation sound. And here's the 90s one here too. It's a lot harsher. That's why I like the 80s one better. Alright, let's move over to the drums. On drums, I would use this to get rid of some of the high end and make the drums sound a bit old school. They give that resampled vibe. So we got the drums here. These drums already sound pretty lo-fi, but they don't have any effects on them yet. So turn on the pre-filter a little bit. And the post filter, we'll have them both going. We don't really need the jitter. The sample rate will bring it down. About 16, nice and low. Bring the bit depth down. Bring it to 12. Sounds pretty good to me. Turn up the saturation on drums. That sounded pretty good. We'll turn the dry and wet knob down as well to bring back some of that bass. Like that. So we got before. You can hear all the high end still there. Sounds very clean. Now we turn on Degrader. That high end's just been rolled off. Gives it a mellow vibe. You got that saturation as well, really pumping the frequencies up into the post filter. I'll show you with the preset, that 80 sampler preset. Sounds really good on drums too. You could use that just as it is. You could use that as a drum loop in a very lo-fi beat, you know, restricting the frequencies of the drums. They're not really taking up a lot of room. You got all these melodic components going. Or you could just resample that, like print it out, and then use that as a layer and add more drums underneath. So it gives a thickness to your drums as well. Alright, so that's some of the examples I've used here. You can use this however you want. It's all about taste and the flavor you're trying to achieve. So as long as you know what you're doing with the plugin and you're making intentional moves, this can be a very powerful tool. Now let's go talk about some of the similar priced alternative plugins that I would use. So I got Plugin Boutique opened here. I've got a few different tabs with some other alternatives, but I just wanted to show you the base price of Degrader here. So it says it's about $43.99 USD. It tells you what it does here. if you ever need to refer to that. There's also a manual I've got open in another tab. So that's Degrader. That's how much it's worth. I saw this morning when I was picking some of the alternatives, and I'm actually going to buy this in a second after I'm done filming. This is Sketch Cassette 2. I've seen it used by a lot of producers online in a lot of YouTube tutorials. I think that's an absolute steal. It's not even on sale. I didn't know that the price was that low, to be honest. But this is a great plugin. It'll do everything that Degrader does, but you can see it also adds, you can add hiss, you can change the age here, you can change the type of cassette. You've also got intensity down here for dropouts. You can have the audio dropout if you want. There's compression, which is crazy, and some flanging, which gives it a bit of stereo information as well. This is nuts. I'm gonna buy this in a second. I'll have to do a plugin review for this too. This plugin just looks sick as well. That cartoon vibe. Everything like moves. All the cassette stuff moves. It looks really cool. Very unique plugin. I think this is a steal, to be honest. Also, the price comparison. It's like, what, 10 bucks? 13 bucks cheaper? 10 bucks. 11 actually. 11 bucks cheaper than Degrader. So this is definitely a steal for that price. You should definitely look into that. Another alternative you have here is Bad Tape 2. I have this plugin. I'll have to do a plugin review. I really don't know much about it. I barely use it because I've got Degrader and RC20. But I do need to do a plugin review on this so I can learn a bit more about it. I know it's got some powerful features. I just haven't used it. So I'll have to give it a go. But you can see it's a very similar price. About $3 cheaper at the moment because it's on sale. It's normally listed for double what Degrader would cost. So at this price, it's a pretty good alternative. I know it does a lot of stuff and a lot more than Degrader, so I would pick this up over Degrader. If I click here and bring up the big picture, you can see you've actually got an EQ built into this as well. You got your harm wow. Wow is like wow and flutter from RC20. Hiss adds that vinyl emulation noise, or like a VHS. Some detuning here for the pitch, slight detuning. There's all sorts of stuff here. You got your mix, color, saturation. I'll have to do a review of this plugin because I'm really slacking on it. The last alternative I wanted to talk about was cassette. I have limited use with this plugin as well. I know it's definitely better than Degrader, and it probably rivals RC20, to be honest, but I've just never put in the time to learn it. I've used a few of the presets before, but there's heaps of stuff under the hood of this plugin. I know that for a fact. I remember I used it a little bit. One time I clicked the settings and I saw you could adjust everything, and it kind of scared me, to be honest. So I was like, I'll have to come back to this at some point. You can see it's a bit more expensive than Degrader, like 20 bucks, but it's a very good alternative. You can change the cassette here. You can change it from Pro, Home, or Micro. Just changes the sound a bit. I think Erasures is talking about when you take a cassette reel and you cut it and you merge it back together. I think that's what that is. This is about the pitch, the spread. And there's a few other things. You got some noises you can add, artifacting. Those are all the settings you can add. Isn't that crazy? So you can use the presets and just edit stuff. You can turn all these on and off. That's pretty standard. But all this stuff, these big words, azimuth and intermodulation, it's like, what? What are you talking about? All these ones relate to the pitch. You got wow and flutter, and stability is talking about how long it can hold a pitch. And then degradation is talking about how old it sounds, stuff like that. But yeah, it's just, this screen kind of scared me when I first opened it up. And so I only stick to the presets if I ever use cassette. But I'm keen to learn more about it because it would be a very powerful tool. I also noticed while I was picking some of the alternatives, I don't know how long this bundle's going to be around for, but this is a great steal. It's got two of the plugins I just talked about, cassette and Bad Tape. And it's also got Super VHS. I also own that. I haven't done a review on that. I might do a review on it at some point. For 126 bucks, that's a steal. Like, considering cassette was 60 bucks by itself, Bad Tape was 40, normally 80 something, and then Super VHS, even if you just stuck to the 60 and the 80 for the Bad Tape when it's not on sale, and cassette, that already makes up 126 ish. So it's absolute steal if you can afford that. And there we go. We've gone through Degrader. Pretty simple. It's a very simple plugin, very easy to use. Not really too much to it, but it does what it needs to do, and sometimes that's all you need. Simplicity is key sometimes. Very happy with this plugin. I've had it for a while, used it many times. Sometimes I don't get the right flavor out of it that I want, and it just sounds too harsh or something. So I'll, use other plugins that I have, other lo-fi stuff. But sometimes you just slap it on and you hit Fattener or 80 sampler and it just works straight away. Don't even have to change anything. Just depends on the vibe you're going for, really. Anyways, thank you for watching. Nice, short and simple, this one. And if you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's only one click away to unsubscribe, and it helps me out a lot and reaffirms what I'm doing here. Thank you for watching.